Hey, everybody. Thanks for joining us on another episode of Behind the Scenes, where I get to sit down with some of the industry's greatest leaders, interesting people. Today, I'm joined by Chris Whitaker, a great person, a channel leader, channel executive, a veteran, and now a new grandfather. So very excited. Chris, thanks for being here.
Man, it is my pleasure. Anytime I can communicate with others, I get tired of seeing my family. No, I'm just kidding. I love my family, and you're right. Having a new granddaughter is exciting. But anytime I can be a part of anything to do with enhancing my network and relationships and make my best effort to add value, man, I jump on it. So thank you for having me.
Well, my pleasure. And it's been great to build a relationship with you, learn more, obviously, about what you're doing over at Sierra and inside the channel. We had a great discussion on your podcast, which will likely have aired by the time we air this. But I loved speaking with you. It was a lot of fun. For the folks that don't know you and should know you, give us a little bit of a background on yourself, how you got here, what you're up to, and some of the exciting things you're doing at Sierra.
How long do we have? I'll try to give you the short version. Yes. Where to begin? So, it's funny. As a young man, I thought I wanted to spend 30 years in the Army. And for those that have done it, major props, I'm so impressed by you. For me, it just wasn't in the cards. I did do 10 and a half years in and had a great tour of duty. I was servicing the best units in the Army, in my opinion. And I ended up at Fort Bragg, North Carolina, in the 82nd Airborne, which was kind of one of my dream assignments. And my wife was pregnant with our third child. And I just woke up one day going, I don't want to do this anymore. I want to come home to my family. I want to sleep in the same bed with my wife instead of being, going around the world and sleeping on the ground, which being an infantry guy, you sleep on the ground a lot. And I remember going to my first sergeant, which is kind of a senior non-commissioned officer in a unit. And actually, he was my boss. And I said, First Sergeant, no, I'm not going to re-enlist. And for an E6 staff sergeant that's been in 10 plus years to say you're not going to re-enlist, it's kind of a big deal. Because it just doesn't happen normally. So I made my case, and he finally agreed that, okay, hey, wish you the best of luck. So I got out. And at the time, my brother-in-law, Tim Rabdow, was working for Comcast in sales. And this is my wife's brother. And the guy was going on trips and he was winning awards, and he was just a fat cat living the good life. I said, Tim, what do you do exactly? I want to do that. That looks a lot more fun than, kicking down doors and blowing stuff up. And he told me, and he goes, hey, by the way, we have an opening. We have an opening. It's an outside sales job in Northern Virginia, and you're not going to believe it. The hiring manager is a Vietnam vet. He's going to love you, Chris. So I was like, okay, maybe the stars are aligning. Go interview with a guy, Joe Maisel. Hit it off right away. He was thrilled to death that I was just getting out of the Army, and he had gone 25 plus years in the Army, and we hit it off, and that was my introduction to really telecommunications, if you want to call it, because it really was cable TV, but they just started selling this brand new thing called cable internet. This was in 1998, and I was fascinated by it. I've always been kind of an undercover geek. I love technology. I'm always an early adapter. I was one of the first people in my circle of friends to get a Tandy computer from Radio Shack. So I just fell in love with the idea of sales and communications and technology. And that kind of morphed into me getting into business services many years later. All along being either in the sales and marketing role, a leadership role, a manager role, a regional director role, and all this stuff. So I really was able to use a lot of the leadership skills I picked up in the military, and then my love for technology and sales. And, to me, sales is just a transfer of emotion. As long as I believe in what I'm selling and I see value in it, and if I could get you to feel the same way, we got a deal. That's the kind of sales I like. I don't want to bamboozle somebody or try to, sneak them into a deal. I want them to go, yeah, Chris, yeah, this is good. This is exactly what you said it is. Where do I sign? So that led me to business services at Comcast. And I didn't know it at the time, but most of my sales career, I was always a channel guy. I was always working with leasing agents at apartment complexes or working with the IT people at Best Buy. And before Radio Shack went out of business, I was always working a referral network. And, I was doing that by going, hey, man, if you know anyone's looking for internet, have have them call me, and I'll buy you lunch for every one you do. And that was the kind of me doing channel. I didn't even know it was really channel at the time. And then that's, Comcast in 2011 said, hey, we're going to officialize our channel approach and channel strategy. And again, I just dove on it. I was like, please, whatever, I got to get this. And I did. And I was very fortunate to be like their channel manager number 3. And that was my first official channel manager job. And kind of the rest is history. I've basically had 3 channel roles since then. And about the last 5 years in the wireless industry. So 17-year cable guy, 10-year Army guy. Now I'm on my 5th year of being a wireless guy. And it has been a blast. I've met so many great friends, and it's really, it's like, what's the saying? Once you get in the channel, you just don't get out, So, although this last 6 months has been pretty different, right?
Yeah, that's for sure. Well, it's a fantastic background, extremely interesting. But talk about the channel for a second, because it's evolved. It's always changing. We spoke about this the other day. But what's your take on this, knowing that you've gone from the different components, from a technology standpoint, but how's the channel evolved? What are you seeing?
Man, yes, it's every day I get up thinking about that very question. And I don't know if I have a great answer for you other than my observations. The one thing I do know, especially for us that are on the supplier vendor side, it is more important now than ever that we add value and we help solve problems that are real problems to the end user. I just had a conversation with a marketing guy recently, and we were talking about how some marketing and product dev people come up with the talking points and the features and benefits that the company wants to push down onto the end user, going, here's what you think's important, Mr. Customer. No, it's the other way around. We need to get out in the field. We have to talk to agents going, hey, what's the real problems that your customers are bringing to you, or what's the number one complaint of your customers? And we, as supplier vendors, it's our job to go get the answer, get the solution, productize it, channelize it, and make it easy to consume by our partner community and easy for them to sell to their end users. So, we could almost get away with not doing a great job at that, because we could take them to dinners and we could have lunch and learns and we have president's club trips, and partners kind of, they're okay with that. I mean, a lot of them are, not everybody, right? But now that most of us can't do that, it is purely a value play. We have to add value. We have to make it easy to do business with us. And, whoever can do that best is going to win. That's my key takeaway. And that's why I started the podcast. That's why I was so grateful when you asked me to join you today, because anything we can do to stay top of mind, add value, and be a part of the solution, that's the winning formula, I believe.
Well, I agree. And I think you should run for a higher office with some of these answers. But let's talk about the channel, because a lot of people throw it out, very loosely, right? It's in the channel. It's the channel. And I told you this before, I was back in the UCAS days, and before that VoIP, and then we had an ILAC, and it was real telecom, right? True telecom. And, a lot of times when I began my career, it was these telecom type agents, but then it was talking to interconnects and PBX people. Then you're like, well, those PBX vendors are now part of the channel, quote unquote. And then now you've got commercial real estate folks. They're now in the channel, because if you're moving, there's technology associated. So what is the channel? And the second question I have for you is, who's in the channel? Like what are you seeing? Is there some new vertical that is all of a sudden the channel? I mean, what are you saying here?
Yes, and I do love this question. And interestingly enough, I was just having a similar conversation no more than 2 hours ago with my boss. The word channel means a lot of things to a lot of different people. And, again, it's up to us channel leaders in whatever segment we're in of the channel to be the evangelist for our internal colleagues, and of course, most importantly, external potential partners. So, the channel obviously is a distribution path to the end user customer. And you're right, there's a lot of ways you can get there, whether it be through a sub agent paying residual commissions, a MSP or VAR that's white labeling our service and making their money on margins, referral partners. There are a lot of variations of the channel. And I think it's just so important for organizations to take value in whatever channel they're going after. But, for me particularly, the way I feel now, it's like, depending on which article you read or who you talk to, there's roughly 6,000 to 10,000 agents in the U.S. that work with master agents and sell various services through master agents. Well, I look at that going, hey, I got 6,000 to 10,000 people that can work for me, and I don't have to pay them a dime until they sell something.
Mm-hmm.
That's the one way to look at it. But then you have some others that are more, CFOs, and the more pessimistic approach, like, well, but you can't control them, you can't, make them sell it, you can't fire them, and there's the pros and cons to everything. And having spent,
we've all worked at a company where you've had that CFO, right? I mean, that's
it's you have to argue on it. So some of our biggest most of our biggest accounts came from a partner, and we all know too that if that partner is a good partner, most of them are, they're going to win because they have a long-term relationship. They're kind of that unbiased, trusted advisor. If you're wearing a logo, quite naturally, I'm going to tell you everything why you should just buy Sierra. I'm not going to see what else can I give you, or what else do you need. I'm just worried about just buy Sierra. And then, that's what I'm paid for, and I fortunately work for a company that I am proud to do that. But an agent can go in there and go, hey, what problems do you have? I have a whole bag of tricks and goodies that I can help you with your problems. And a lot of the stuff for a small business, Sierra can't do anything about. I can't do anything about a point of sale system not working. I can give you connectivity for it, or I can't do anything about, their SD-WAN needs, because I don't provide that. I'm a connectivity guy. So that's important. I think every channel needs to have a definition of, who you are, what you're trying to become, what value do you want to add, how are you solving problems, and how are you making it easy for partners to do business with you? So that's a long answer. I don't know if that hit on it or not, but.
No, I think it was extremely helpful. And a lot of people that watch these videos they'll resonate a lot. And there's a lot of learning that comes out of that. So inside the channel, okay, let's just stay on the channel theme here. Is there a product or a technology? Obviously I'm leading towards the whole SD-WAN discussion given our relationship, but
yeah.
You did say that you're focused in one component, right? But you're working with similar partners throughout the whole channel. Is there a technology that you're being brought into those solution architecting deals? And is there something that you're keeping an eye on because of your partners?
Yes. Before I answer that, I would like to say one more thing. You mentioned a lot of people watch this video. I would love to hear from anybody that either maybe has a different opinion than what I just gave. I mean, I'm always open for learning more and learning other people's points of view. So I'd love to hear from anyone if you have a different opinion on the channel or what makes a good channel program. But to your question, yes, so being a wireless internet provider, we're about as diverse as you can get. I talk to a lot of partners and they go, oh yeah, I sell backup. I put in a coax connection for the fiber. I'm like, okay, well, they're on the same poles or in the same trench. What happens when that last mile is jeopardized? What then? Mm-hmm. And so yeah, we sell a lot of just pure backup. But the one thing that does drive, there's two offerings that drive a lot of our big deals. And of course, SD-WAN is really number one because of the value and the technology that a properly deployed SD-WAN solution has. It's just really optimized when you add that second, third connection. Generally, we're, that tertiary, I love to use that word because it sounds so smart. That third connection.
Wonderful.
I love a couple of years ago. I remember I loved using that. People go, tertiary, what the heck is that? Oh, let me school you. That's a third connection. Then why didn't you just say third connection? All right, well, third connection, yeah. Because that's the whole thing. Connectivity is king. And I remember 15, 20 years ago, dial tone was everything. Dial tone is still pretty important, but IP is what dial tone now travels over. So you got to have internet. And that's really my story, and I'm sticking to it. It's like, anybody that's selling SD-WAN, voice over IP is the second, any kind of VoIP, and now UCaaS type of service. Really, all the applications that are frankly worthless without internet, cellular has matured and evolved and is about to just blow through the roof as 5G becomes more available. I mean, it's going to be in all of our smartphones now. With the I know the new Apple iPhone 12 Pro has it, and a lot of the Android it has it as well. And you'll start seeing it pop up in gateways that you can use in the LAN environment really going into January, February. Sierra Wireless, we have something called the MG90, and it's a dual 5G radio device. And I know Crater Point has one, I'm sure others. But 5G is going to be a real game changer. But frankly, no one's taking advantage of 5G from a data backup, failover type scenario today in the U.S. It's predominantly going to be the NR version of it, the new radio version, some IoT stuff. Smartphones are going to be the first ones to take advantage of that. But man, anytime an agent calls me and they're saying, I'm deploying SD-WAN at 100 locations, I'm like, okay, this is our deal to lose. We're going to make this easy on you.
Well, so let me switch gears on you a second. So I was reading this article, I guess it was in People Magazine or something. Yes, that's right. There's some good stuff that comes out of those type of gossip magazines. But there was this whole article about which Chris would you vote off, right? Chris Pratt, Chris Hemsworth, the whole Chris's. And I was thinking to myself before we spoke, I'm like, well, everybody speaks so highly of Chris Whitaker. You're definitely not getting voted off. And to me, that goes to the culture and the infectiousness of just your personality. For everybody that you interact with, I've only heard good things. So now my question to you is around culture, and how do you as a channel leader maintain that, right? Not just internally, but with your partners, and knowing there's such a robust partner community. And also on top of that, you're in a pandemic. So the things you were doing, you can't do. So how are you managing that?
Wow. Well, thank you for the kind words, first of all. I think it's hard to hear those sometimes and go, really? But I do look back, I've been blessed. I look back on my relationships, and to me, I guess, I don't know if I'll call it a secret sauce or how I do it, but to me, it all comes down to mutual respect. I was raised and taught that regardless of your title, your rank, where you're from, your religion, your skin color, I mean, you're a human being. And it reminds me, I remember I saw a quote from Mary Kay, the cosmetics queen, and she said that everyone has an invisible sign around their neck that says, I want to feel special. And I think that's a secret right there. It's just, mutual respect for everybody, whether you're brand new to the channel, whether you sold one deal at $50 or you just closed a $10,000 a month deal. I mean, mutual respect for everybody that's just a good policy regardless of what you're doing. And
right.
For whatever reason, I somehow know that just comes natural to me. And it served me well. And, because I'm always thinking of, how can I help someone else, or is there something I can do to make their life easier or better? And I've seen other people that are a lot more successful than me and have a lot more money and bigger houses and more boats and all, and they're real jerks, right? They're just really pieces of work, and that's another way to do it. But no one likes them, and that house of cards will crumble one day for them, right? And there's gonna be no one there for them. So I take a lot of peace of mind knowing, when I'm adding value, I'm trying to help people out. And believe it or not, I mean, there's been times that I needed help, or if I have a favor to ask of someone, I got a lot of people I can go to that will say, Chris, yes, what can I do to help? And that's a great compliment, and it feels great. And I think that's one of the reasons that I really just enjoy the channel, because that's what we get paid to do, is help other people solve problems and have fun doing it. I mean, man, this is great. I mean, we're fortunate to have this role.
Well, the easiest use case, the most recent experience I can think of is before we even had our dialogue, a great partner. I'll just give a shout out to Robbie Paul and the Light Networks crew over there. He had the use case. He was having a little bit of pain. We came in there, solved from an SD-WAN standpoint. They said, guys, can you help me out on the wireless side? And you just jumped straight into that. And we just had a great experience all around from a partner and a technology standpoint. So I think that goes straight to the point, which is do the right thing, and the relationships for value, and you'll just go from that. So another question for you. What's 2021 look like, both from a channel standpoint and a management standpoint? Because a lot of people that do watch this, they're entrepreneurs, they're business leaders. There's a lot of uncertainty, right? We don't know what 21 is going to look like just yet. So would be interested to know what you're up to in 2021, and then what type of management styles are you going to be implementing?
Yeah. So before I answer that, let me ask you this. Did you do these video series last year?
I did not.
Okay. That's a great point. And that's number one. That's what we have to do differently is, I did a podcast with a good dear friend of mine, Lieutenant Colonel retired Tyler Wilbanks. Check it out. I uploaded his podcast today. He has a saying. It's not his unique saying, but it resonates. Innovate or die. So that's that's a strong saying, but I think you get my point. Your business could die, your career could die if you don't innovate and do something different, just like you guys have done with these video series, because we didn't need to do them last year, but now we need to do them. Same reason I started a podcast, because I am dying to figure out some way to engage my network other than just LinkedIn posts. So I think that's number one. Going into 2021 for our business partners, I've encouraged a lot of them. We've even had a campaign in a box challenge that we started in our monthly webinars going, hey, go out and we'll give you the social media posts. We'll give you the clip art or the files and, JPEGs, whatever, to post onto Twitter and LinkedIn. But start marketing your business on LinkedIn. Let people know what you do and what you can provide for them. So not only for the partners, but for us suppliers, we have to prepare ourselves. It looks like we're going to be in this virtual world for at least another 6 months, maybe more. I mean, a lot of people are saying more like 12 months. So, right. I mean, that freaks me out more than I can tell you, because I'm just like, oh my goodness, I just can't imagine it. But it is what it is. And another overused cliche, but you have to accept it. You have to accept where you are. Adapt and overcome is probably a more PG way of saying innovate or die. So adapt and overcome is another great saying that I live by. You just have to accept your circumstances and make the best of them. And digital marketing is so big, and that's why I had Mickey Long from Marketti on as a podcast recently as well, to talk about marketing and how has marketing changed. Mm-hmm. The good news is, from his opinion, it hasn't really changed a lot. It's just things that we've changed the types of marketing, but marketing is still about creating awareness and creating leads. I mean, that is something that you and I want to do. And believe it or not, if you're a partner listening to this, that's something you clearly want to do, because that's your lifeblood of your business, is getting new leads. You can only sell to your existing base so much. You need to get out and get new business. And we're lucky again, the silver lining of this pandemic is technology is really, the stock has risen a lot on technology, especially UCaaS, especially SD-WAN. Yeah. Technology is king. If your technology strategy is weak as a SMB or any kind of business, times are going to be tough on you. So our partner community is really poised to add a lot of value to their customer base.
Well, I'm excited to see more of what you got in store, because it's a lot of exciting things. Something we're up to is about the brand, being a brand ambassador, brand awareness. I think I told you this before. I've always told people we're probably one of the coolest companies no one heard of, because historically, early days, we sold through service providers and their brands. But now it's about that awareness. So we'll probably actually be doing a little bit more of the behind the scenes, because for me with VergX, being able to grow it, one of the most proud things I am is I've seen people that have come out of college, they became spouses or husbands and wives. Now they're fathers or mothers, and being able to see a team grow professionally and personally has been really exciting. So maybe there'll be more videos of that, and we'll learn more on another behind the scenes, hopefully with your new grandchild, and what is life with the channel chief at Sierra now that he's the grandpapa.
That's right.
That'll be really good for us. So while I still have you, a couple more questions I've got to ask you.
Sure.
If the market was speaking about you and you turned the corner and you heard what they were saying, what do you want to hear them talk about you? What do you want to hear them say?
Wow. Yeah, that's another awkward question to answer. But yeah, let's be real, right? So probably the biggest thing I know I'm doing it right when I hear people go, Chris, you're so genuine. You are what you are. Oh, you see my dog in the background popping out of the wall there. So it's between the new grandchild and by the way, we have 3 dogs and 5 cats in this house. So
Wow.
It's always exciting, and it's amazing this been this quiet for this long. But back to your question, yes, yeah, you're genuine, and he does what he says, and you can count on him. So that is kind of the rules that I live by, and it's not always easy, and sometimes it's hard, and sometimes it goes against human nature because sometimes we want to take care of ourselves first because that's kind of our human nature is survival, but true survival is when you have people around you that you can also count on, and we need each other for survival. So do what's right by my fellow human being is kind of my secret SOP or my strategy.
Well, that's a great one to live by. Do we want to bring the pup into the screen?
No, she's like, yeah, let's see. She's like, she's trying to get in. Come here. So this is, if I can get she's going to blend into my virtual background. But this is Lua. She's a 9-year-old Doberman pincher. We didn't get her ears cropped, but she watches my back. She always is normally asleep behind my chair. So I'm probably just talking too loud and keeping her awake. But yeah, she's a great gal, and when she barks, she's kind of like our home alarm system because it's a very ferocious sounding bark, but she is a sweetheart. She loves to be petted and have her head scratched. So it's kind of a good therapy dog for me.
Well, it's a good way to work from home, and knowing that we're going to be in this for a little while longer.
Yes.
It's nice to have some comfort there. And when you were making the decision to leave the military because you wanted to spend more time with your wife and family, now you got everything you asked for and plenty more.
I'm a happy man. It's a little more of a thought, but it's funny you say that. It sparked a thought. I've told people, I was like, if I drop dead this next breath, no regrets, mission complete. I mean, I've raised 4 kids to adulthood, and they're all good people. All 4 of them I would go to war with. Got a great wife. I mean, I'm happy, man. I mean, we're not going to live forever, but you definitely want to make the most of every day. And I had believe it or not, it's so funny. This has been the week of podcasts and video interviews. I had like 5 podcasts this week, and that's a lot of work if just doing these videos. But both 2 veteran podcasts I'm doing for Veterans Day, both of them had this, I asked them, hey, last thoughts are like, hey, value the people in your life. Call those that you haven't talked to in a while that you respect and like. It's all about relationships. It's all about just valuing each other and engaging in conversation. And Veterans Day is next week, and one of them had a really poignant way of putting it that I never thought about. Not only tell a veteran, hey, thank you for your service, but you got to engage them in conversation. So, it's kind of equivalent of me going to a NFL linebacker. I don't know anything about being a linebacker for the NFL, so it's kind of hard for me to even have a conversation with them about it, right? But I could say, hey, tell me about what do you do to practice to be so good, and ask some questions about that. It's the same thing with a veteran. Hey, what was your favorite duty station, or how long were you in? Ask a few questions. And a lot of veterans nowadays, I don't know if your community or if our mutual partners have heard, but it's kind of a alarming statistic of 22 veterans a day commit suicide from PTSD and just having a really hard time going from a very chaotic combat situation, whether it be in Afghanistan or Iraq, and coming home and saying, okay, put all that in the closet now. Now you're a civilian and you need to be a dad, a husband, and an employee. It's not that easy because, combat is incredibly hard. It goes against the grain of what most humans are wired to do. So anyway, yeah, just, if you know any veterans or anyone you serve, anyone in your network that has served, I'd encourage you to reach out to them and just, ask them a few questions. Other than saying, thanks for your service. So, hey, what was your favorite duty station? Now, granted, maybe 1 out of 10 goes, I just don't want to talk about it. Hey, understandable. Thank you. And just leave it at that. But I suspect most veterans I know anyway, maybe it's because I'm one myself, man, once you get a veteran talking about their background and their tour of duty, it's almost hard to get them to stop, but it's very therapeutic for them. It's good for them to get it out.
It's extremely, you're exactly right. I'm thankful that you shared that. I'm thankful for your service. it's about connecting, right? And having those meaningful discussions, knowing that they don't have to go anywhere, but just have that discussion, and you don't know the impact that you'll be having there. You just remind me that I will give my grandfather a call. He was a colonel, is a colonel, former colonel.
That's right.
And it reminds me, I got to give you a funny story of when I had dinner with the 3-star general that was the CIO of the Air Force. And I tried making small talk, and it did not go the way that I wanted to go. But that's a discussion that we will talk about.
Yeah, I got to hear that one. Yeah.
Yeah. For everybody watching, again, this has been another behind the scenes episode with VergX. I got to sit down today with a veteran, a great person, a grandfather, a channel chief, an all-around great guy, Chris Whitaker. If you don't know him, you should. Chris, thanks a lot.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.